Poke Boys, Poke Girls, PokeChu fans in the world. The name's ShadowChu, and today I have an Oris Wi-Fi battle against GScrafty. Okay, looking at his team, he has a Garvantula, a Rotom Heat, a Fergator, a Chestnut, Mega Gardevoir, and a Hatsaurus. For my team, I have a Mega Houndoom, a Hitmontop, my buddy Raichu, Tangrowth, Florges, and Dusknoir. Checking out his team weaknesses, he has a huge weakness to Fairy, so I had to take advantage of that. But here's that Chestnut, and Raichu can't come out until that Chestnut is gone. Okay, starting the battle, GScrafty is issuing a challenge. And I lead off with my Houndoom, Shiny Houndoom. He leads off with his Rampage, the Red Eyes Black Dragon. Breaking the ball, breaking the mold. But I'm not staying in because I know Earthquake's coming. But Hatsaurus doesn't have Earthquake. Go out to my Hitmontop, get the nice Intimidate action off. -1, -1. There's the Earthquake. Let's see how much this is gonna do. Decent damage. But I was gonna stay in on another Earthquake, so I'm gonna switch out. And there's the Chestnut. This thing was such a problem. But I go out into my Spaghetti. And the Chestnut drain punches. Spaghetti takes that like a champ. Just need some meatballs. Grassy terrain. Got a classic battle of the grass type. For you that don't know, grassy terrain heals both opponents. So it's like a leftovers for 5 turns that my opponent can use too. Chestnut goes for Spiky Shield, and I go out into Bakura. And here's the Leech Seed. Standard Chestnut set. I set up the Gravity. Got Gravity and Grassy Terrain up. Time to take advantage. Minus the Leech Seed. But he goes for Drain Punch, which I'm a ghost, so it doesn't affect me. And I go for Dynamic Punch, which does nothing. At least I got the confusion up. And I found out Chestnut has the Rocky Helmet. Get my aggressive terrain in leftovers, HP recovery. But I'm still seated. So Chestnut is basically at full HP. So I gotta get Bakura out of there. Go back into Spaghetti. Cause Spaghetti like walls. Chestnut. Confuse hat. Spiky Shield. Not worried. Chestnut is at full HP. Grassy terrain, you didn't help me at all. He goes out to his Garvantula, and I'm switching out. But I was expecting him to switch to Hatsaurus, but I went out to my Hitmontop. Get a useless Intimidate off, and the Hitmontop is getting out of there. I withdraw Hitmontop and go out to Flower Power. Nah, look at that flower, ain't she pretty? He goes for a Buzz, which I resist. Gravity finally returns back to normal. And there's that standard Sticky Web. I use Nature Power, which is basically a free Tri-Attack. And that Tri-Attack does decent damage. And he withdraws the Garvantula, and here is the game changer. He goes into his Great Saiyaman. I use Nature Power, and I get the burn. which basically limits Mega Glade. He Mega Evolves. Mega Glade looks awesome. He goes for a poison jab. I have to take this thing off. And Flower Power gives him a free Moonblast to the face. Sorry, Great Saiyan Man, you won't be saving the day today. And he goes out to his Forgator. Wet Forgator doesn't have Gunk Shot. So I switch out, go back into my Hitmontop. Get a nice good Intimidate off. Hitmontop gets slowed by the Sticky Web. Now watch how swiftly Hitmontop avoids the Gunk Shot. Pow! He withdraws Forgator, of course, and goes into the Chestnut. I just could not get rid of this thing. I go for Bulldoze and it does like 3 damage. I lowered his speed though. He withdraws the Chestnut. I'm like, huh? He goes into a Garvantula. And I use Endeavor. I tried to get his HP down. He goes for a Bug Buzz though, which I resist, so it won't be doing much. I go for a Bulldoze. Gives damage down, lower your speed. And here I predicted this, but I didn't go for Pursuit. I went for Bulldoze again. He Volt Switch into his Rotom. And Rotom, he's just gonna sit there like, Bulldoze ain't gonna hit me. He goes for an Overheat. Hitmontop swiftly avoids it again and hits the Rotom with Endeavor. Now I'm thinking Mach Punch or Pursuit, and I go with Mach Punch. The Rotom is almost gone. He goes for a Volt Switch, which leaves me at 26 HP. And he goes back into his Red Eyes. Rampage is out, and Hitmontop is not surviving an Earthquake from Rampage, so I get Hitmontop out of there. And I go back into Spaghetti. Spaghetti been doing an excellent job at walling his team. There's the Earthquake. Spaghetti takes the Earthquake. And that was a crit. I switched Spaghetti out. I expected him to switch out after that Earthquake damage, but he stays in and goes for the taunt. And I gotta get Doom out of there. Like, the Earthquake is coming. So I go back into Spaghetti. Thank you, Regenerator. Don't know what I'll do without you. He goes for a Dragon Dance. So I predicted wrong. But he's at +1. A +1 Haxorus is like, no, I'm not ready to deal with that. So I switch back out into Hitmontop because I'm expecting the taunt. Because he knows I have Sleep Powder. But Tangrowth doesn't have Sleep Powder. There's the Intimidate. Get him back at neutral. And there's the taunt. And here, I could have either endeavored or go back to Tangrowth. I chose to go back into Tangrowth because the Earthquake is too risky. There's the Earthquake. So I made the right decision because I need Hitmontop. Hitmontop has been doing an excellent job. He goes for the taunt. I'm expecting the taunt. So I'm like, Ancient Powder. Tangrowth hit him with some rocks. He withdraws his Rampage. He goes back into his Chestnut. And Chestnut and Tangrowth both wall each other. Classic battle of the grass types. Chestnut takes that Ancient Power like it's nothing. He Drain Punches though. And I'm like, Drain Punches is gonna take more HP than it's gonna give you because of my Rocky Helmet. So I Giga Drain. to get some type of damage off. And it does quite decent damage. My temp wore off, and he withdraws. And I'm like, he's gonna go into his rotom. So, time to throw some more rocks. Ancient Power. I was hoping for the stat boost, but I never got it. He was following his rotom though. He goes back out into his rampage. Red Eyes just like battling Tangrowth. And Tangrowth is taking every earthquake left and right. I go for another Ancient Power, hoping for a stat boost, but I get a crit. And he goes for a Dragon Dance. In my opinion, he should have went for another Dragon Dance because this is not going to be enough to take him out. But he goes for the Outrage. A +1 Outrage. Tangrowth, he barely survives. And Red Eyes faints because of Rocket Helmet. He goes out into his Fregator. And I have to preserve Spaghetti because without Spaghetti, Chestnut is just gonna have a field day. So I go into Bakura. Exert a little pressure. Fregator goes for Scald. And he gets the burn. I'll accept the burn though, because Hats has been leaning on my side for the majority of the battle. Especially with that burn on Glade. But Bakura only made a small cameo with the gravity and dynamic punch because he gets taken out. After that Ice Beam, Fregators is the Ice type. So I gotta get hit on top end and Mach Punch. It won't kill, but it'll do just enough damage since it's not fully evolved. And he saw that Mach Punch coming for a mile. I swear every opportunity I thought about pursuing, I'd Mach Punch or Bulldoze. But he goes into Chestnut. And Chestnut eats the Mach Punch. And Hitmontop survives at 6. Remember that number. You're gonna see it again. Spaghetti's back out. Spaghetti is ready to conclude this battle with grass types. They both have a Rocky Helmet, but Spaghetti has no physical attack, so Spaghetti's just taking those drain punches. And with the help of the Rocky Helmet, it's doing more damage. So I Ancient Power. I did this to force a switch, and he fell for it. And he goes into the Fregator, and I'm like, I'm gonna Giga Drain regardless what he goes into, because I didn't want him going into that Garvantula, so that's why I went with Ancient Power first. And Fregator faints. That was a big threat to my team. And there's the Garvantula. I gotta get Spaghetti out. Flower Power's back. He goes for another Bug Buzz, which I resist. And there's the Volt Switch. I live at 6 HP. 2 Pokemon living at 6. I have some troopers. There's the Chestnut. I've been waiting for this the whole match. Flower Power, Moon Blast to the face. You're out of there, Chestnut. Goodbye. Thank God. You're the reason Raichu hasn't come out yet. But he goes into his Garvantula and Energy Balls Flower Power. I'm sorry, Flower Power, but you did a good job. You took out a big threat. And I go out into Houndoom. And finally, Mega Houndoom makes an appearance. It's gonna be a short-lived appearance, but nevertheless, Garvangela goes for Bug Buzz. He's been bug buzzing all match. And Houndoom survives, of course, and takes the Garvangela out. Good game, GS, good game. Hey guys, I'm sorry about Raichu not making an appearance this battle, but with that chest not around, I could not afford to bring Raichu out. There'll be plenty more battles where I showcase Raichu though. Until then, like, rate, comment, and sub. Later guys, shocking out.